Welcome to r/best of Redditor updates, where OP discovers that her boyfriend is cheating on her. Our next Reddit post is from r/relationship advice. I'm a 27-year-old woman, and I just found out that my 29-year-old boyfriend of 7 years cheated on me. My boyfriend went to his home state to see his family for the weekend. He's been going quite often this year, about once a month, saying it's because his grandparents are old and they miss him. I thought nothing of it until this morning. I got a screenshot from a mutual friend of ours of my boyfriend's location on Snapchat. He was at his parents' house, but a girl's Bitmoji was there as well. It wasn't his sister or mom, and his parents, who weirdly also have Snapchat, weren't home either. He didn't tell me he was going to be with anyone else today. I tried to call him, but he didn't pick up. I looked on Snapchat and his location was turned off. The mutual friend says that my boyfriend has told everyone at home that we'd broken up 4 months ago. He said my boyfriend was making him stay quiet about it because he was trying to find the right time to tell me. As far as his parents know, he's moving home once our lease is up. The reason our mutual friend told me was because he walked in on my boyfriend and the girl hooking up with each other this morning. I texted an old friend who lives in my hometown, and she immediately asked why my boyfriend was on Tinder. We caught up, and she sent me proof that his photos were on Tinder and his bio. It hurt to see that photos I took of him were used. He'd even covered my face in a photo we took together and said, "This could be you." I had no idea his family thought that we were broken up and that he was looking for other people to date. We even went to Italy a month ago celebrating our 7-year anniversary. I'm so confused and I don't know what to do. I look around and everything in our apartment seems like a lie. My soon-to-be ex texted me just now that he's on his flight back. He'll be back in about 5 hours. Obviously, he can find his own way to the apartment from the airport. I'm shocked and numb, but my best friend is with me helping me pack up all my clothes. I'm leaving, and I'm not leaving a trace of myself behind. Our dog is coming with me, and I'll be staying at my best friend's place for now. Is there anything I'm missing? I can't seem to think of anything, and all my thoughts seem so jumbled. Nothing makes sense, but I know I can't stay. Any help to ghost this person this close to my heart would be appreciated. Then, the next day, OP posted an update. I already blocked him before he landed. I received many texts and calls from his parents and sister that I did not see. Then, when I noticed his sister calling, I picked up. At first, the call was hostile. She accused me of being some crazy ex-girlfriend that couldn't let her brother go. Funny, since I just packed up and left. She brought up that it had been 4 months and that I needed to move on. I told her that my ex never approached me about breaking up, and that 1 month ago we celebrated our 7-year anniversary and started to plan our wedding. I had no indication he even wanted to break up. We reset a bit, and she allowed me to tell her my side of the story. I told her he was somewhat distant this year, but he had blamed it on their grandparents being old and wanting to spend more time with them before they die. Turns out, their grandparents have been dead for 2 years. I never met them because my ex claimed they were super racist since the grandpa was a Vietnam War vet. I'm Southeast Asian. Turns out, you can't be racist when you're dead. We ended the call on a positive note, with his sister saying this was a lot to take in. She said she felt bad as the girl that he was cheating on me with was one of her friends. She had introduced them to each other sometime last year when my ex was apparently unhappy with our relationship. They hit it off, and he was supposed to break it off with me. I guess he never had the balls to do so. She was also confused as to why he was on Tinder, as he was in a relationship with her friend. I sent her all the Tinder receipts after hanging up. Later in the night, I received an email from my ex. Yeah, he asked me to come to the apartment to talk about it. No, he did not apologize for anything. He ended the email with, "I love you." As far as I know, he doesn't know where I am. Then, 2 weeks later, OP posted an update. After emailing my ex the termination of lease and that he's no longer a dependent on my health insurance, I got a reply from him saying I ruined his life. No apology, not that that would have changed anything. I know a lot of people wanted more information about his family and him, but I haven't reached out to them or answered when they reached out to me. I just don't have the heart for it. But my parents did. My dad did get a call from my ex. My ex told them I kicked him out of the apartment and that he won't have access to his meds anymore due to not being on my insurance, which was true. He created a sob story about his grandparents' death being hard on him and that I wasn't there to support him in that time. Somehow, this was an excuse to being unfaithful, but he wanted to work it out with me. Both of my parents speak English just fine, but they said, "Sorry, we know speak English," and hung up. Kudos to his racist parents for inspiring my dad. None of us have heard from him since. Love this top post from Vanessa Alexis. People like this guy's ex are a hoot and not in the good way. He lies about his dead grandparents, cheats for months, cheats on both women, uses his friends to lie, and is totally mooching off of OP. Your Honor, it was OP who ruined my life. Think you're doing that yourself, buddy. Our next Reddit post comes from r/Am I the Butthole. Am I the butthole for shutting off the movie halfway through and making my boyfriend feel bad? My boyfriend Wyatt and I like to watch movies together, especially since the pandemic. We go back and forth on who picks the movie, but I've noticed he usually just talks through my movie choices, either pointing out plot holes or just talking down about the movie in one way or another. I never act this way when it's his turn to pick the movie, even if I don't care for it. Like the last movie he chose, The Fountain. I was so confused until halfway through, then bored the rest of the film. But I didn't talk during the movie or constantly dump on it either. And even at the end, when he asked what I thought, I said it was alright, even though I thought the movie was not good. It tried to do a bunch of different things all at once and ended up doing nothing. But he seemed really fond of it, so I didn't want to hurt his feelings. But he doesn't seem to have that mindset when it comes to him watching my picks. I've told him to shush and to just watch the movies, but he just sighs loudly and says they're boring. If I tell him to stop, he gets all huffy and goes totally silent, and usually takes his phone out to play a game or scroll the internet, totally ignoring me and the movie. It really hurts my feelings. And yesterday, it was my turn to choose again, and I picked a movie that really hit me hard as a kid. I told him this movie was special to me, but he barely got 10 minutes into it before he started up saying that it was boring and childish. It is a kid's movie, but that doesn't make it boring. I was getting upset, and before the big part of the movie even got close, I just couldn't take it anymore. I felt like him acting this way during a super important part would ruin the movie for me, maybe forever, so I just got up and turned it off. He asked what I was doing, and I told him I didn't want to have the movie ruined for me, so it was better if I just turn it off. He said I was being a baby and to turn it back on. I refused and just told him to pick something to watch instead. Then I sat on the couch. He got mad and said that if I was going to be dramatic like this, then he didn't want to watch anything with me, and got up and went to his room and slammed the door. This happened the other day, and he's been giving me the cold shoulder. And when I asked why, he said he wants an apology for making him feel like dirt. Should I apologize? Did I really make a huge deal out of just a movie? Then, 3 days later, OP posted an update. Hey, this is my final edit. I ended up having to call my parents, who called the cops on Wyatt. I read all the advice from everyone saying he wasn't respecting my interests or me as a person, and it got me thinking, and stuff I ignored or overlooked before started popping out to me. Stuff that didn't seem fair to me that I had just put up with because I loved him. And so many people told me to just break up with him and that I could do better. But I was in love, and he was my first serious boyfriend, and I really just wanted to work things out and get through this thing with him. So I tried to sit down and have a serious talk with him, just hoping he'd listen this time. I told him how he acted made me feel, and his behavior during my movie choices ruined the experience for me. And I told him I never act that way during his movies because I know he likes them, and I respect him and don't want to be mean or belittle his interests, even if they don't interest me. About then, he told me I was being dramatic again, and they were just stupid movies. And he tried excusing his behavior by saying my movie choices suck anyways. I was so tired by this point and wanted some space and quiet to think about where to go from here. So I asked him to go back to his apartment for the night, but he interrupted me by yelling how since I couldn't have my way, I was kicking him out. It really scared me because he had never screamed at me before. Even when he'd raise his voice during arguments, he never full-on screamed at me. I tried to get him to calm down, but he started calling me a bunch of nasty stuff, and even backed me up against a wall and grabbed my bicep hard enough to bruise. I panicked and ran to the bathroom and locked it behind me. He banged on the door telling me to come out. I was crying and couldn't think of anything else to do but call my parents. Mom answered, and she could hear him screaming and banging in the background. Her and Dad were freaked out, and Dad called the cops. Long story short, the cops and my folks showed up, and Wyatt was removed from my apartment. And my parents told him not to come back or we'd get a restraining order. It's almost 10:30 p.m. now, and I've locked my apartment up, and I'm currently staying with my mom and dad for a while. Thanks for the advice, everyone, but Wyatt and I are pretty much over, and I think I'm done with this account, and I'll be logging off now. Also, OP clarifies in a comment that she is 25 and he is 38. Putting aside the 13-year age gap, what's shocking is that a guy who's nearly 40 years old acts this immature. I was imagining some guy in his early 20s, maybe even a teenager, the way this was written. Our next Reddit post comes from r/amIthebutthole. I'm a 17-year-old guy, and I used to be super close to my twin brother. We grew up together, and the thing we both loved was Marvel. The comics, the movies, we were complete nerds. We went to watch Avengers Endgame on opening night. Well, he passed away in our shared bedroom with WandaVision playing on our TV, and that not only traumatized me, as I was the one who found him, but it permanently ruined anything superhero related for me. For clarification, I've been in therapy since it happened. Well, my friend group met up at Golden Corral, and they were planning a watch party for when the last episode of She-Hulk streamed, and I said I wasn't going to make it. Everyone understood. But a friend of a friend, whom I kind of know, rolled his eyes and loudly said, "You never hang out with us when we watch Marvel stuff. That's like our thing. Why are you even in our nerd friend group if you don't do the one thing that the rest of us do? Like, I know you've had a bad experience with it, but man up. It couldn't be that bad. What, someone dressed up as Thanos run over your puppy or something?" The whole group went quiet, and I slumped down and said, "I just don't feel like it," and tried not to cry. I could tell everyone was cold towards the dude, and he, a 19-year-old guy, just laughed and said, "What? I just said what we were all thinking. OP needs to get over himself and be more sociable." I excused myself, visibly bawling at this point. I went home and just cried for a while. Well, I got a friend request from him this morning on Snapchat, and when I friended him, he instantly tore into me, saying that he was being shunned by most of our friends who tore him a new one and told him how my brother died. And he's upset with me that I didn't tell him earlier and that I made him look like a dick by being an oversensitive girl and crying in public. He said he never would have brought it up if he had known. But I said I wasn't close enough to him to tell him something that personal, and he just told me to get over myself, and he's left me on red since. Honestly, I've been trying to avoid thinking about the circumstances surrounding my brother's death, and this is dredging up a lot of memories. And right now, I feel just like how I did when I discovered my brother in our bedroom almost 2 years ago. Scared, angry at myself for not being there, and alone. On the one hand, I don't know this dude enough to tell him about that incident, but at the same time, I could have told him then and there when he started on his tirade, and he would have apologized and we would have been done with it. Am I the butthole for making him look like a dick? Then the next day, OP posted an update. I have news, and boy is it juicy. I took a screenshot of his message and other harassing messages, and threatened to send them to the other friend group if he didn't get off my back and treat me like a human being. And he told me he saw my Reddit post, and I painted him in a bad light. And I made people hate him, basically cussing me out for making him look worse than he already looked. Well, I wasn't really gonna send those screenshots to our group chat, but that moron told on himself by complaining to our other friends that I posted this, expecting them all to be on his side for me trying to ostracize him from his friends. And they subsequently found the Reddit post, and when I say they all read the whole post, I mean it. They then started asking him if he really had the effing audacity to send me a message saying that my dead twin brother is ashamed of me. And he denied it and said that I was trying to make him look bad. But as soon as he tried to lie, I sent the screenshot to the group chat. They were pissed. And he said that I photoshopped it and was lying about him. But every time he told another lie, I sent another screenshot from our chats. Basically just him verbally demeaning me over the internet. Let me say, by the end of it, he was trying to defend himself, and everyone was just leaving him on red. After a few minutes of his latest text, our group leader, Brandon, just sent him a message asking him to meet up at a restaurant. Brandon and I have the strongest connection. We're kind of dating, but not officially, so he's really protective over me. Long story short, Brandon didn't scream or yell. But in no uncertain terms did he say that if that guy ever came around me or Brandon, that included the She-Hulkathon, he was gonna be in big trouble. And everyone seconded that, even the guy who introduced him to our friend group. The guy pleaded and said he'd apologize, but everyone basically told him that we're done with his garbage and to F off. The She-Hulkathon was canceled, and instead we're going to have an NCIS-a-thon, as it's my favorite show, and my friends said they wanted me included. I truly have the best friend group, and that demeaning, insulting piece of trash is facing the consequences of his actions. Oh well, good riddance to bad rubbish. That was r/best of Redditor updates, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.